industry. Let's get into the topic. And we've had this question asked a lot. A lot of times on our webinars, we kind of stick to really, obviously how much you can make, how can I market to doctors, what am I getting, how much money can I make? And as I kind of went back through some of our older topics of discussion that we've had in the past, I ran across this topic, and it's one that we haven't done in a long time. And I thought it would be good to kind of refreshen this up specifically because I want to share with some of the issues that doctors face with. And so as you're trying to make your decision whether this is a particular business right for you, you're going to see why doctors would want to choose to outsource their billing. So we're going to talk real quickly. We're going to look at three main topics. Now, there are several that we could actually go through, but obviously within the time limit that we have, we're only going to be able to cover about three of them today. And those three start with, let me get that pulled up there, increased efficiency. So if the doctor wants to run their business a little bit more efficiently, obviously getting that billing outsourced is the best way to be able to do that. Second thing is expertise and compliance. And then lastly, cost savings. And you're going to go, well, if the doctors are already doing billing in their own office and they have their own staff, how in the world could this be a cost savings to them? And I'm going to show that to you here just real briefly here. So I'm moving a couple of things around so I make sure that I can see everything on my entire screen. Okay, so let's first talk about increased efficiency. So what I want to start off with is that on our board of directors for MIRMA, there is a retired general surgeon. Her name is Dr. Vicki Rachner. Dr. Rachner wrote a book on what was called The Myth of the Rich Doctor. And one of the things that she mentions in that article or in that book is the physician's pain, it becomes your opportunity. And what we find out in doctors' offices that they actually don't run very efficient. Now think about this. I'm going to start this, and I've got some slides I'm going to share with you. But let's think about the efficiency in a doctor's office. First of all, it's one of the busiest offices in business that you'll ever find. You got people waiting in the waiting room. You got people trying to be checked in. Obviously, second of all, these are a room full of sick people. Then the staff has a tremendous amount of things that they have to end up doing. And if someone calls in sick, that increases issues within that office. And one of the people that usually gets tapped on the shoulder to help out, to substitute on anything, is the biller. So really, folks, we have a real aging population right now, and a lot of patients are trying to get to the doctors. It is imperative at this point where the doctors find themselves dedicating more time to giving a proper care for their patients without having to worry about administrative tasks. That's one of the biggest things that we hear from doctors and from folks that are currently doing medical billing with us as business owners here at American Business Systems. Folks, obviously, I get to talk with doctors all the time. And one of the biggest issues that they have is obviously how can they run their office. I've run into consultants. That's all they do is help doctors try to figure out what they can do to make their office run even more efficient than they have. Some have gone to shorter days where they actually seeing their patients, because they just have to have a day to catch up on all the administrative stuff. So imagine freeing up a doctor's office that they could actually be able to see patients 5 days a week, and sometimes not having to see as many patients within their practice. And I'll tell you why they have to double book and sometimes triple book. And that's whenever sometimes you'll see these doctor's offices really, really packed full of people, because a lot of times they have to have some rate of attrition where they just know that some of these patients are just not going to show up. So they've got to build in, gosh, if let's just say that we book 10 patients for the morning, they know out of that 10, maybe 60 to 70% of those would show up. So they have to book over. They have to book like 15 to 20. And then what happens if all 20 of those people actually show up? that backs everything up. And now these doctors are trying to get these patients in. Now they're having to clean a room, and they're having to get the next room prepped because now they're running behind. Now they get late on their lunches, which starts the afternoon later, which means the doctors are having to rush to see through their patients. Doctors are burnt out on trying to have to hustle through a day. So what we want to do is give the doctor more face-to-face time with their patients. And one way to be able to do that is to let them know by outsourcing will actually increase their efficiency within their office. We know that outsourcing will provide these providers with expertise in managing claims, conducting timely follow-ups, and efficiently handling collection process. When the doctor has a really good billing team behind them, they are free to do what they need to do. If they want to take an extra day off, now they know that they can. Now, because they know that they're getting more of their claims processed and paid also on time, they can back down a little bit on their patient volume, or they can be a little bit more strategic and going, you know what? Now that I finally got my billing under control and I've got a good group of people, I'm not having to rob my staff to do certain things. And whenever I say rob their staff, I'm talking about their billing team staff, having to rob them from their duties to come have them check people in or be there because of somebody wasn't able to show up today. So now that they've got that taken care of, what you're going to be able to find here is that the efficiency will actually improve their cash flow and ensure the practices receives their payments more promptly. Folks, again, I'm not here to kind of go over all of our solutions today that would take care of that, but we certainly do know that someone that has been trained by us, because once you go through our training here, you're going to learn every aspect of what's called revenue cycle management. That's everything from the time that patient walks into the door to when that doctor finally gets paid by that patient's insurance. And that's all of this thing that you see there in the middle, that whole revenue cycle management. But that's everything that you're going to find out with all the different services, whether it's the iClaim and EMRX platform, whether the doctor might need some extra coding, or they just need to have someone look over their codes to make sure that they're coding properly. We have so many different solutions whenever it comes down to to help this doctor become more efficient. So remember, number one is an increase of efficiency working within that office. All right, let's move on to the second thing for time's sake, and that's expertise and compliance. What I mean by expertise is, listen, medical billing and medical compliance can be a very complex thing to have to deal with, because there's so many new updates for every insurance company that's out there, whether it's Cigna, whether it's Blue Cross, whether it's Aetna, whether it's United, obviously if it's with Medicare. All right, so just take all of that insurance information and all the new updates and regulations that happen in the insurance part of it, then add in the HIPAA compliancy part of it. Now you've got a myriad of issues that happen every single month, okay? And again, remember that these are the issues that these doctors get bombarded with all the time. So a lot of the times the doctors will kind of take a mid-year look at what's going on in their practice and go, gosh, we could see this increase of revenue happening the first part of the year, but we start to see our revenue starts to dip. What's happening? Well, it could be some codes have changed, or the way that the insurances want things to be processed. Then on top of that, again, you got all these HIPAA issues and regulations that come out of that. So folks, I just know this, that outsourcing, and I'm talking just in general outsourcing for getting the doctor's medical billing outside of their office, is a huge help, because now that doctor has someone that's all that they're focusing on. Obviously, whenever it comes to medical billing and the doctor outsourcing that medical billing company doesn't get paid unless the doctors get paid. So imagine just that simple understanding of dynamics, that if this the billing company wants to get paid, they're going to make sure, or try to make sure, that every claim that doctor files actually gets paid. Now, the problem about outsourcing just to anybody outside of people that are an ABS business owner is that they may not have all the solutions that we have here at ABS. So that's something that you need to pay attention to, because at this point now we've got 3 different billing platform solutions. And folks, this is what we've all needed. And when Adam took over as CEO, we saw this increase and he saw that there was a need there. So now we have 3 different platforms in which you as an ABS business owner can choose based upon the needs of that doctor. Okay, so just remember that. So outsourcing will ensure that billing is handled by the experts that know all the latest code practices, all the new compliance requirements, and payer policies. Okay, so I've got a question coming in. So Dr. Lorden, if you don't mind, I'm going to reserve your question a little bit towards the end because I'm trying to keep this within about 30 minutes so we can upload this to YouTube a little bit later. But I am going to get to your question there. But so also, this actually will reduce any risk of claim denials and audits that happen. Imagine having an expert billing company, such as one of our ABS business owners, being able to see everything. And then if they start to see a claim or they start to see a little bit of change in how much the doctor's making, because guess what? They're going to start to see that their payments have decreased as well. So it's going to take someone that's focused on getting the doctor's claims processed all the time. And I repeat that, all the time. Not something where you, if you imagine being in that doctor's office and then finding out that, hey, the doctor needs you to do this or that, and all of a sudden you kind of get robbed away from all of your things there. So here at American Business Systems, as you can see here, I've kind of superimposed all those little white boxes I'm sure that you've seen there. An ABS business owner's comprehensive RCM solutions, that's revenue cycle management solutions, will reduce concerns about update codes and the ever-changing HIPAA rules and regulations. If you'll see down, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, okay, it says where it says down at the bottom, right where you see I claim, right next to that, there's a little box that says Compliancy Guard. We have a complete system that helps the doctors make sure and maintain that they are HIPAA compliant throughout the year. Not just at the beginning of the year. A lot of doctors get all of their paperwork and everything done at the beginning of the year just to find out that something changes in the middle of the year, or that they receive a notice that someone's turned them in because of some HIPAA violation, and you're right there to be able to help them through all of that there. All right, so those are the first 2. Remember, we're trying to increase the efficiency of the office, and now outsourcing will help increase with having an expert team behind them and helping out with that compliance. The third thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and the last thing I want to talk with you topically wise today, is the cost savings. Now you're thinking in your mind, how in the world will outsourcing the doctor's billing actually give the doctors some cost savings? I've got a chart here I'm going to show you here in just a moment, because listen, if there's anything that we can help this doctor to do, one of the first things that we can do is help them reduce the outgo. Okay, we've got to stop what's bleeding out the doctor. Okay, and believe me, once you get in there and you start to do what's called a practice analysis, you will find all of the different areas in which the doctor's cash is leaking out through their system. And remember, at the beginning of the webinar today, if you haven't gotten a copy of that, I'm going to go right back up here to show you. If you haven't gotten a copy of this book, 9 Ways Doctors Let Money Slip Through Their Fingers, I want you to directly after the webinar today, get back with your ABS sales rep and ask them to send you a PDF copy of that, at least to get you a copy of that, because you're going to find out where these doctors are losing their money. So one of the things that we're going to kind of wrap up here today with is this whole thing about cost savings. I'm going to tell you this: outsourcing eliminates the need for hiring, training, and managing billing staff, and investing in billing software and technology. Okay, let's repeat that again. Outsourcing eliminates the need for hiring, training, and managing billing staff, and investing in billing software and technology. Right there, folks, I could stop it right here, because we could take this one slide here and completely help them out here at American Business Systems. Number one, I don't know if you've ever been an owner of a business and you've had to hire people. That is not an easy task. You have to go through interviews. You have to do background checks on people. You have to do all these different things just to make sure that you hopefully got the right person to do your billing. Then you have to train them with everything that's going on in with that particular office. And then you have to manage that billing staff, because typically you're not just hiring one person to do the billing in that doctor's office. It's usually two people. Okay. Then on top of that, you got to make sure that the doctor would have to have the right billing software. At this point, most doctors are using, and when I say most, I'm probably saying anywhere from 80 to 90% of doctors today are currently using some type of cloud-based system where they're having to pay some type of monthly fee to utilize some type of system. The great thing about it is that with that, at least they're not having to worry about updates, but the technology still has to be there to keep going on and what's going on there. The other part about it is, while outsourcing has a cost, because there is a cost to getting this outsourced to a medical billing company, it can be more economical than maintaining an in-house billing department. Because imagine the doctor, if the doctor's having to manage not only the practice of what everything's going on with all of their sick people that they're having to see, they're also having to manage their entire staff. And that part of that staff is the billing side of it. Now, this next slide I'm going to show you is based upon numbers that what we received from our current ABS business owners. So everything that I'm going to show you here has been validated by our current group of business owners here at American Business Systems. So here are the cost savings that can happen. The first column that we're going to look at is when a doctor does their billing in-house. And you remember, I mentioned earlier that it typically takes at least two people to do a doctor's billing. We've kind of shaved that just to say 1.5 people to do it, because sometimes they can get by with one, but I promise you there's someone else that's helping out doing that. So we've taken 100 claims times 150 per claim times 52 weeks at 7%. That's how much it would cost to outsource the billing, $54,600 a year. Okay, because remember, we said there is going to be a cost to outsource, but now let's start taking away and start to see what it costs the doctor to employ somebody is going to be at least $60,000. And we've added that half person in there because typically someone else is helping that doctor out. Then on top of that, the doctor has payroll taxes to have to pay out, then workers' comp, then errors and admissions insurance. Then if there's training, they have to go through some type of training. If they end up taking a vacation, they're going to have some temporary person or someone else has to be taken from the office and put in that position. So we've added that cost in there as well. Then if they've got employee benefits, healthcare, vision, dental, you add that package in there. Then again, if the doctors are doing it themselves, they're going to have to pay for their own billing software. Okay. And then sometimes the updates for that. If we take this and we're conservative with this, even if it goes between, let's say, as low as just under $90,000, but it could be as high as what we're showing here, about $95,000. This is typically what it's going to cost the doctor's office just to have in-house billing. So you can see the comparison right off the bat. If the doctors would just get their billing outside of their office, they could almost immediately save $40,000 a year. Okay. Again, so I'm going to put this in real practice for everybody that's on the webinar this afternoon, because we've got a good group of folks here today. A lot of you on here are thinking, gosh, I'm not a great salesperson. I'm not I can't go out there and think I can do this. But let me ask you this. If you knew that you were giving money away to people, would you find it hard to do that? And the answer to that is no. Imagine just taking $1,000 and making it all into tens, and let's just go out on the street corner and say, hey, all I want to do is give you a $10 bill today. Would you have any trouble by the end of the day giving out $10 bills to a total value of $1,000? You wouldn't have any problem with that. This is basically the same thing that you're doing for doctors. If you can help give back a doctor $40,000 back into his or her pocket, do you think it's going to be a hard sell to be able to do that. Now, there are ways that we're going to get you in front of doctors, and we're going to teach and train that to you during our training time when you become an ABS business owner. However, if you've been on these webinars long enough, you know that I have gone into a very in-depth overview of the training. And I've also taken some time on some other topics on how we help you get your first doctor. There's a lot of trade secrets that I share in those webinars. So folks, we know how to get you in front of doctors and then be able to at least have this dialogue with the doctor. Because how are we going to get these numbers? I'm going to show you. There's one thing that we want to try to get you in front of the doctor and do, and that's what's called a practice analysis. This practice analysis questionnaire will help guide you to guide the doctor and or their staff to find out where they are spending too much money. Okay, this is where we're going to collect all this data. Once we got all this data, we're going to put it into what's called a practice revenue report. You see this on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I've taken the bottom half and blown it up a little bit more that you can see this. So if you can see, it starts off at the top with the number of claims filed monthly, how much this is actually going to, how much each claim there is. And then you can just run through the numbers all the way down there. Let's look, because of time's sake, let's look at the very bottom down there. This is the projected possible increase in that doctor's office. Just doing the billing. I haven't even counted in on if the doctor's doing in-house billing, because there's going to be some doctors that might move from one outsourced company to another outsourced billing company. But let's imagine that this doctor has a staff, and we're going to show them how to reallocate those folks. We're not going to get them fired. We're not going to get them cut loose. We're just going to reallocate them so that that office runs more efficiently, okay? But then you can see here, on an increase of over $10,000 more a month in revenue just by getting the billing out of their office. On top of that, so that's $122,000 a year in increased revenue. Plus, if you add in that $40,000, we're talking at least $150,000 in revenue back into that practice over a year time. Okay? So that's what I'm saying. If I can help you today understand, is this a hard sell to do a medical billing practice? It's not. Because what we're going to do this very systematically, and we're going to help you get in front of that doctor. And there's a process. We're going to help you get in front of the doctor. We're going to help you, and whenever I say we, I'm talking about our support team, are going to help you go through that question analysis program, or that practice revenue analysis. We're going to help step you through that. And what that's going to lead to is to a live demonstration of our iClaim software. We are doing all of that for you. And we know once we get a doctor to that part of your process, about 50% of those actually close, okay? How many doctors do you need? I shared that with you last week because some of you asked, how much money are you looking to make? We went over all those numbers. If you missed that Wednesday webinar from last week, go back. I'm going to show you where you can find that. So what we know here is that an ABS business owner will focus on the products, only on the products and services, by helping what it's going to take to help reduce the cost while increasing the cash flow into that provider's clinic. That's what we do. We're trying to reduce the issues, reduce those costs, and increase the cash flow. And folks, let's just kind of be really, really conservative. Let me go back over here to this number here. Let's say that you could do half of that. So it's $60,000 more a year that you could help that doctor increase their revenue. And again, if they are had someone doing the billing in-house and they reallocate that person to do something else in the office, and you do all of the billing, or they actually stay there and help you. We've had a lot of that happen, that biller that is there actually stays on and does some of the forefront things that need to happen in billing, but they coordinate with that outsourced billing company. So we're not here to reduce, get anybody to lose their job. So let's just say that we keep that person, but we increase the revenue. It still works out all the same. So there are so many different ways that, as we can say, that we can help that doctor increase their revenue. So that's what we're trying to do here at American Business Systems through folks just like you. And I'm going to tell you, it happens all the time. When we've got brand new ABS business owners here, we're always seeing the increase of the revenues going up and decreasing those costs, things that just keep eating that doctor's office. And obviously, again, start to increase the efficiency within that doctor's office. So there's so many benefits of why doctors need to outsource their billing. All right. So we've come down to the bottom of the hour. I'm going to start wrapping up here just real quickly for our YouTube viewers, because I want to make sure that they get this last little part. And if there's any questions, now's a great time for you to start typing in your questions. And I'm going to go through those here whenever I kind of get through this. But the first thing I want to talk with you about here at American Business Systems, some of you might know this, some of you may not know this, and that is our 30-day money-back guarantee. Once you've invested here at ABS, you still have an additional 30 days to still make up your mind. That is not like the way it is with any other franchises or business opportunities anywhere in the United States. This is the only business opportunity / franchise. We're not a franchise. If anybody has any questions about that, I'll certainly share that with you. But this is the only business opportunity that gives you a 30-day money-back guarantee. No questions asked. If you're simply just not satisfied with it, you've gone through our training, you've learned everything, you've gotten all the material, and still before the end of that 30 days, you feel like this is just not for you, or you just need to make a different decision, we're okay with that. Just get back with your business sales rep here, and we will arrange that money back guarantee back for you. Now, here are 6 things that I need for you to do. I need for you to get back with your sales rep and ask them for the research guide. That research guide is about 60 to 65 pages long. We're continually trying to add to it because we've actually added more services than those boxes that you typically see with us here at American Business Systems. The second thing I need for you to do is go back to and browse our YouTube channel. You'll find that at youtube.com/YABS. Now, this is the webinar that I did last week that I mentioned to you just earlier. How much revenue are you looking to make? If you're wanting to know how much you can actually make here at American Business Systems, that webinar is the one that you want to go watch for, okay? The third thing I want you to do is get back with your sales rep here and ask them for the list of business owners, current business owners that are with us right now. Some of these people we're going to be interviewing shortly. Matter of fact, the guy that's in the right lower hand corner, that's Tim Warren. I'll be interviewing Tim because, yes, he is an ABS business owner. And he's been with us for quite some time, so much so that he's got his business running so well that he is the head of our support team here at American Business Systems. That's a webinar on September the 4th that you're not going to want to miss. So if you want to talk with him before then, talk with him before then, but you're going to have to get the number from your sales rep. They'll get it for you. The fourth thing I want you to do is schedule a live demonstration of the platform. As I mentioned to you, we've got 3 different platforms to choose from to help your doctor, making sure that they're on the right platform. We're going to show you probably one because it can kind of encompasses everything of all 3. There's some slight differences of all 3 on the back side of it. You kind of think of it more of a back office type of thing. But we're going to make sure that you have a clear understanding of how the system works and why a doctor would even want to change their current practice of what they're doing for their how they check in their patients to even their electronic medical record system. The 5th thing I want you to do is also get back with your sales rep here and ask them to send you the link of the purchase agreement. In that purchase agreement, on the first page, about 3/4 of the way down, is that refund policy. I want you to take a look at that, but obviously I want you to read it over. It's not any more than 5 pages long. It's not an inch or 2 inches thick piece of paper that you're going to have to go through as if you were going through a franchise. It's very easy. You can download it, get it to your CPA or your attorney, let them review it, and they'll help you through that. Lastly, those that are ready, get your funding in, and let's get you trained. we can get you trained as early as starting as next week or the week after. I know we've got a lot of new ABS business owners that have come on board here recently. So it might take us about a week. We're not so as much as what we could. Sometimes we could get you started as early as next week. But I've been told, I think it's being stretched out a little bit further because we've got so many new ones that have come on board, and we're just trying to keep up with everybody, because that's a one-on-one personal training that you're getting. So just like you're seeing here through the Zoom meeting today or the Zoom webinar today, it's going to be like that, except you'll have the dialogue. The microphone will be opened up on your side. So for those that have been watching us via YouTube, I am going to shut it down right now. It's been my pleasure to have this time with you. I hope you enjoy the recording here. However, for those that are live, stay on with me. I'm going to go back to your questions here. But those that are joining us via YouTube, we look forward to servicing you and getting you going. You can call us at 866-565-8413 and let's get started. We'd love to have you. Thanks so much, everybody.